Federal agents requested residential surveillance from January 11th, ignoring the actual week Nancy Guthrie vanished from her home. That date was 21 days before the kidnapping. Why that day? That mystery now has a partial resolution, courtesy of a resident who has called the Catalina Foothills home for nearly 3 decades. These are the facts. Neighbor Aldine Meister, a long-term local, recounted to national news outlets that she observed a suspicious individual near Guthrie's property around January 11th. She is certain of the timing because her own birthday was January 8th. The encounter occurred 3 days later. She has no reason to doubt her own mental timeline. The FBI has since pressured neighbors for digital recordings from that specific morning, proving that January 11th is a primary investigative focus rather than a minor lead. They do not hunt for specific footage without a concrete motive. That motive remains classified. We are left with the official components: a date, a man, and surveillance. Now, the witness testimony surfaces. Meister was inside her residence, peering through her bathroom window while starting her morning routine. This context is vital. A bathroom window at dawn is not a place where one conducts surveillance. The observation was accidental. Such testimonies often carry more weight because they were never part of a plan. She wasn't monitoring the street. She simply noticed what was there. A young male was drifting at a snail's pace past the Guthrie residence. He wasn't equipped for a hike or a run. Instead, he wore basic, everyday street clothing. His attire clashed with the foothills culture, where morning pedestrians almost exclusively wear high-performance athletic apparel. His cap was pulled low, his posture slouched. He moved slowly, his eyes locked onto the Guthrie home, studying it. That focused gaze, the sluggish gait, and the obscured face reveal the behavioral profile of an offender conducting a mental rehearsal of the layout at a chosen target site. He was assessing entry points, escape routes, and visibility from neighbors. This isn't just guesswork, it is documented criminal behavior. Forensic data supports this. The evidence depicts a man who stood out in that environment, acting in a manner that mirrors the pre-surveillance of a specific victim's home. His conduct was entirely consistent with scouting a potential crime scene. What remains unknown is if this figure matches the individual seen on doorbell cameras during 2 other visits, or if they were working together in some capacity. Gone is the notion that no one saw anything. Gone is the idea that the street was unmonitored before February. What drove Meister forward? And how did the FBI utilize her specific testimony? She provided her account to local authorities only after the news of Guthrie's disappearance went public. She didn't call in January, she called after the crime. This reflects the typical logic of a private citizen. However, the federal response was anything but standard. They didn't just take a statement and file it away. They pinpointed January 11th and began a systematic sweep for security footage from multiple households recorded during those early hours. This was a surgical investigative strike. It confirms the Bureau believes something critical occurred that morning that warrants a deep forensic autopsy. What can an 8-word statement actually provide to investigators? Meister characterized him in 8 words. Strange man with his hat pulled down very low. A low-slung hat signifies a conscious effort to hide identity. Obscuring one's face while lingering near a home 3 weeks prior to an abduction is a specific behavioral marker that federal profilers categorize under a very dangerous classification. It is a textbook example of pre-strike reconnaissance. The subject seemed aware of the digital surveillance in the area and attempted to minimize his exposure. Meister further noted the man took a long look at the street, a phrase that suggests a technical assessment of the environment rather than a passing interest. You remember a look like that because it violates the social norms of a casual morning walk. Could that face, hidden by a brim, match the one recorded on the Guthrie's porch weeks later? That comparison remains under seal. Verification is pending on whether Meister reviewed the official doorbell camera evidence. Media reports haven't clarified if investigators asked her to identify the man based on the existing video evidence. Meister also mentioned what she viewed as a disturbing sequence of occurrences throughout the neighborhood prior to Guthrie's sudden vanishing. This involves multiple events, not just a single encounter. Evidence points to a prolonged stalking effort rather than a one-off sighting, revealing a chilling level of local knowledge. High-level officials haven't validated the specifics of those previous encounters. That particular detail is still missing formal verification from the top. The verified facts are as follows. Aldine Meister contacted the authorities with her account shortly after the victim vanished. Federal agents focused their search on January 11th. a credible civilian witness reportedly spotted a suspicious man near Nancy Guthrie's residence 21 days before the kidnapping. This specific timeline, followed by a targeted federal data request, isn't just bureaucratic routine. It is a silent admission from the Bureau that they are convinced something significant occurred that morning. This is where the tension in the case escalates. That 11th of January sighting isn't some isolated fluke. It fits into a recorded sequence, starting with an initial Ring camera appearance, where the subject lacked a pack. Then comes a second appearance with a backpack and radio, followed by the February 1st abduction. If the 11th marks that first visit, then the authorities have a witness who unknowingly watched the predator scouting his prey. Should January 11th predate the camera captures, the window for premeditation stretches even further back, indicating a shadowy presence in the area well before any digital evidence surfaced. In either scenario, the scope of the surveillance is far more extensive than the doorbell footage implies. A single lens and a single entryway defined the known boundaries of the stalking until Aldine Meister spoke out. Which theory is the Bureau currently pursuing? They are keeping that information strictly confidential. Investigators still need to confirm if January 11th aligns with either of the two digital timestamps already recovered. The feds hold the video. They hold the witness testimony. Whether these two elements describe the exact same dawn remains unconfirmed by official channels. We are now 38 days into the Guthrie search. A documented witness placed a suspicious male outside that residence 3 weeks before the crime occurred. Bureau agents have zeroed in on that precise date while sweeping the neighborhood for additional video records. No suspect, no handcuffs, no known location, just a man with a low brim lurking near her door 3 weeks before she disappeared. While the neighbor can't provide a name, her testimony fundamentally shifts the investigative landscape. It stretches the known timeline of the predator's preparation. We already know the camera caught 2 separate visits. Meister potentially provides a third point of contact, observed from the street prior to those digital recordings, occurring on a date she remembers with absolute clarity. This additional observation from an entirely different angle suggests a calculated pattern spanning weeks, not just a few hours. Does the figure Meister described match the person on the doorbell footage? The authorities haven't commented. The evidence suggests a chillingly methodical cycle of observation from various points across several dates. What remains unknown is if this was a solitary hunter or a group, and if the man at the window was the kidnapper. The electronic record shows 2 distinct visits to the property. Federal agents are hyper-focused on January 11th, the day a neighbor looked out her window on her own birthday. Deep within a forensic vault, tucked away in gait analyses and fabric comparisons, lies a secret conversation that could prove she spotted the predator before he even realized he was being watched. Yet, in the eyes of the law, a hunch is not proof. What truly occurred on that street on the morning of January 11th? Does the Bureau already know the identity of the man in the low-slung hat? That is the current focal point. One of those answers might already be buried inside a sealed federal dossier. The other could be the link between a neighbor's window, a security camera, and the abduction on February 1st. No official confirmation has been given, nor any denial. The pattern, however, is undeniable. A stranger on the sidewalk, a hat shadowing his face, staring at a house 3 weeks before the occupant vanished. The Bureau is convinced of its importance. For now, the rest of the story remains untold. We often mistake minding our own business for a virtue, but in the eyes of a predator, our indifference is their greatest weapon. Justice in this case didn't begin with a high-tech lab or a federal badge. It started with a single neighbor peering through a window at dawn, trusting a primal gut feeling that something was simply wrong. This is the profound power of community vigilance. Your intuition is an ancient alarm system, and your memory is a tool for justice. When you notice the individual who doesn't fit the rhythm of your street, the figure lingering where they shouldn't, or the gaze that stays too long on a neighbor's door, do not stay silent. Your minor observation could be the cornerstone of a major investigation. Safety is not just a government service, it is a sacred pact we make with one another. Be the eyes that watch when others are sleeping. Be the shield for the vulnerable. Because the difference between a peaceful morning and a devastating headline is often just one person brave enough to look out the window and speak up. Behind every quiet suburban curtain, there lies a choice: to look away or to truly see. The haunting disappearance of Nancy Guthrie serves as a chilling reminder that tragedy doesn't always strike like lightning. It lingers, it scouts, and it waits in the shadows of our everyday lives.